Welcome to Venture Capital History, the show where we explore the key moments, trends, and players in the venture capital world. I'm your host from Founders Intel Channel, and today we're looking at the history of venture capital in one of the most iconic cities for tech and startups, San Francisco, California. From its early days as a Wild West boomtown during the gold rush to becoming the capital of the tech world, San Francisco's journey is tied to the rise of venture capital. But what events set San Francisco apart from other financial centers like New York or Boston? How did this city become the heart of global venture capital? And now, with the rise of decentralization, can San Francisco maintain its leadership role? We're going to cover all of that and more, including one of the biggest scandals to rock the venture capital world. So, sit tight as we travel back to the origins of venture capital in the Bay Area and slowly make our way to the present day. Our story begins in the late 1840s, when the California gold rush transformed San Francisco from a sleepy port town into a booming city. While prospectors flocked to the gold fields, the city itself became a center for commerce, banking, and investment. Early financiers built their fortunes by taking risks, investing in infrastructure, transportation, and services for the gold rushers. This laid the cultural foundation for a city that would become synonymous with risk-taking, entrepreneurship, and innovation. Fast forward to the early 20th century, and San Francisco was a well-established hub of commerce. Yet, the city's role in shaping venture capital wouldn't become clear until after World War II, when a series of important developments began to take place just south of the city, around Palo Alto and Stanford University. After World War II, a quiet revolution was brewing in the suburbs just south of San Francisco. Stanford University played a pivotal role in this transformation. Its Dean of Engineering, Frederick Terman, is often called the father of Silicon Valley because he encouraged faculty and students to start their own technology companies. This culture of innovation quickly gained momentum. However, there was a major roadblock. Traditional banks weren't willing to take the risk of funding these unproven tech startups. What was needed was a new kind of financial backing, one that could tolerate high risk for the potential of high reward. Enter the birth of modern venture capital. In the 1950s, San Francisco native Arthur Rock emerged as one of the first true venture capitalists. He famously secured funding for Fairchild Semiconductor, the company that gave rise to nearly every major tech firm in Silicon Valley. It was this early partnership between technology innovators in the Valley and the financial backers in San Francisco that laid the groundwork for what was to come. As we move into the 1980s, San Francisco and its surrounding area became the epicenter of tech innovation, and venture capital was there to fuel it. The tech industry was exploding, and startups needed capital to grow. Venture capital firms stepped up, and suddenly, names like Sequoia Capital, Kleiner Perkins, and Benchmark Capital became synonymous with startup success. The relationship between venture capital and the tech industry evolved rapidly. With companies like Apple, Oracle, and Cisco making their marks, venture capitalists were reaping the rewards of early investment. Then came the dot-com era. By the late 1990s, the internet was revolutionizing how we communicated, worked, and shopped. Companies with little more than a website were getting massive valuations, and venture capital poured into the Bay Area at an unprecedented rate. However, this period also saw one of the biggest corrections in venture capital history. When the dot-com bubble burst in 2000, many overvalued companies went under, and investors lost billions. But out of the ashes came some of the most resilient companies of today, like Amazon and Google, and venture capital in San Francisco would recover to become stronger than ever. Venture capital by its nature involves big risks, and not all of those risks pay off. One of the most infamous failures of recent times was the downfall of Theranos, a company that promised to revolutionize healthcare by making blood tests faster and cheaper with just a drop of blood. Founded by Elizabeth Holmes in 2003, Theranos quickly became a darling of the venture capital world. Big-name investors, including Tim Draper and Betsy DeVos, poured money into the company. At its peak, Theranos was valued at $9 billion. However, as we now know, it was all built on deception. The technology never worked, and by 2015, investigative reports revealed that Theranos had misled investors, doctors, and patients alike. The scandal sent shockwaves through the venture capital community, raising questions about how so many prominent investors could be misled. Holmes and her COO, Sunny Balwani, were eventually charged with fraud. The Theranos debacle served as a stark reminder that even in a city built on innovation and risk-taking, due diligence can't be ignored. Today, San Francisco remains the undisputed capital of venture capital. In 2020 alone, over $80 billion in venture funding was funneled into startups, much of it right here in the Bay Area. Firms like Andreessen Horowitz, Accel, and SoftBank's Vision Fund continue to shape the future of industries ranging from biotech to artificial intelligence. But a major shift is underway: decentralization. The COVID-19 pandemic sped up trends that were already in motion. Rising costs of living, a growing housing crisis, and political challenges have pushed many tech workers and investors out of the city and toward other emerging hubs like Austin, Miami, and even international cities like Berlin. Beyond physical decentralization, the internet has democratized the way startups access venture capital. In the past, getting a foot in the door at a top-tier venture firm meant having a personal connection, attending the right events, or being part of a prestigious network. Now, many venture capital firms accept online submissions for business plans directly through their websites. This has opened the door for a new generation of founders who may not have the traditional networks but have compelling ideas. Submitting a pitch deck or business plan online has made it easier for entrepreneurs from around the world to get in front of venture capitalists. On the surface, this is great for innovation. It levels the playing field and enables venture capital firms to scout talent globally. But for San Francisco, it raises the question, can the city retain its dominance when the next billion-dollar idea could be pitched from anywhere? The rise of online submissions combined with the growing appeal of other cities means San Francisco no longer has a monopoly on innovation. As we've seen, San Francisco's venture capital history is one of constant reinvention. From its early days in the gold rush to becoming the tech capital of the world, the city has remained at the center of innovation and investment. But the future is far from certain. The rise of decentralized technology, online submissions, and the lure of other cities suggest that San Francisco may not always be the epicenter of venture capital. The city still has its advantages: proximity to Silicon Valley, elite universities, and an ingrained culture of innovation. But it faces real challenges in maintaining its lead. Will San Francisco remain the capital of venture capital, or will the next big tech revolution come from a city we least expect? Thanks for joining me. If you enjoyed the episode, don't forget to smash the like and subscribe. See you next time.